I thought we could start with just talking about how opening night went. Your show did open a couple days ago.
Yeah, we've been open for almost 2 weeks. It was amazing. I mean, the energy was so fantastic, and just to have that kind of support and love for a show like this is so incredible. I think Broadway is in need of something like this show. It's so positive and everyone can enjoy it. Dance is a universal language. And of course, we're singing and acting and all of that. But it was just incredible. It was such a fun night. And just being a part of the Fosse legacy is just, I don't know, I still can't believe it.
And since the show does differ from a traditional musical, maybe tell us a little bit about it and the differences, kind of.
Yeah, I think, it has that heart of a traditional musical, where you're coming in to just be entertained, which you absolutely will be entertained for 2 hours and 15 minutes. But it differs a little bit that there's no plot. We say it right off the top. There's no plot. There's no, hero or heroine. There's nothing that you can really follow throughout. I mean, there's little things that we're gonna pop in there, but it's just something that everyone can follow and enjoy. There's no like mystery around it. It's just pure entertainment, and it differs because we're a revival. So this is, pure iconic Fosse movement, and if you're a Fosse lover, which so many people are, you're going to recognize so much of this movement. We're doing Frug, and we're doing Gotcha, and we're doing alley dance, and all these things that, when we start bookstore, it's Pippin choreography. So I think that's really exciting for a lot of the audience to see and recognize.
Some And how did your particular journey with the show start, and what made you want to do it?
Oh gosh, mine's a little bit unique. I was living in LA at the time. I had left New York several years ago. I thought, okay, I'm good. I've done my shows. I've, you know, done what I need to do. I think I'm retired. Um, and it came on my radar that this show was going to happen, and with the team that was behind it. And I thought, oh no, I really need to do this show. This is the one. So I had come out and auditioned before, and it wasn't the right fit for me at the time. And then I came back and auditioned again, and I got it. So I left LA, had to come back to New York. I feel like I'm always getting pulled back to New York, somehow, some way or another, and arrived in January and started rehearsals and been here ever since.
And would you say there were a lot of changes from previous to opening night, or did the show relatively stay the same?
There wasn't too much changing. I mean, little things here and there, some dialogue, some, little things, little tweaking. I'm not sure major things that audiences would notice, but when you have such a stellar team like we have, every little detail matters, and we're so lucky to have the eyes on it that we have, with Corinne and Wayne and all of our fantastic team. So just little things here and there.
And the show did originally premiere in the 70s. So how does it feel to bring the show to a new generation of an audience?
I think it's so important. I think revivals are important in general, and maybe my opinion differs from so many others, but it's so important when you're taking a musical or, a show that's already been done, like ours, from the 70s, and bringing it to a brand new generation of artists and viewers and audiences to update it and make it new exciting. We're the new generation of Fosse dancers, and it's exciting to put a new spin on it. And I think our title is so perfectly worded. It's the moves he invented, reinvented. Um, and to see, 10-year-olds in the audience waiting, for like Colton at the stage door because, he's the new trumpet soloist is mind blowing to me because I was that 10-year-old. I was that 10-year-old waiting at the stage door when I was a kid. So, um, Fosse is iconic and legendary, and for all the generations to come.
And being one of the understudies in the show, how much of the on stage roles do you have to know? Do you know everyone's, or like a couple?
Thank God I don't have to know everyone. Mostly everyone. There's 7 females in the show, and I cover 5 of them, which is a lot. It's exciting because it's such a diverse sort of world to live in, right? So there's all sorts of different things in each track. So I cover 5 of them, and each of us in the show that are understudies, we cover 5 or 4.5 tracks, and it's a lot to know. There are days it's like riding a roller coaster. It's like some days you feel really great and confident in a role, and then other days you're like, wow, my brain is exploding and I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, it's like 100 different versions of the show, basically, is what you need to know.
No, crazy.
Yeah.
So if I have my facts correctly, and I could be wrong about this statement, but when you were in previews, it seemed like you needed to go on last minute at one point. I don't.
I did not have
You
to,
didn't?
thank God.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
Crystal did. I'm trying to think who went on.
we can skip this question.
Yeah. I mean, I
Uh,
didn't have to, thank God. I'm not one of those understudies that wants that journey. I'm a little more like, I like rehearsal. I like
yes.
not feeling panicked, but
Have you
yeah.
had it go on yet?
No, I am though soon, and I'll
Okay.
announce it on my Instagram when I can announce it.
Sounds good. Okay, what was the next one then? Okay. So being an understudy in this show, and you've been an understudy in shows like Wicked,
Yes.
what's like the difference between being an understudy in a relatively dance show versus a musical?
I think the only thing that really differentiates is with Wicked, I was in the show. So I was on deck every single night in, the Witch's Mother track. So I was performing every single night. And then the Nessarose cover, I got to perform. So I think the difference is when you're in a normal track and you're doing your show every night and then you step into a different track, you're still really familiar with like what's going on in the show. Whereas like now we're basically like standing by. Um, you're not on deck every night. That's the biggest thing. But I wouldn't necessarily say that like our show is not a musical because it feels that way, at least for me. I have big monologues. I have, scenes that are happening. I have songs to sing, dances to perform. So it's very similar in that way. The only difference is right now I'm not on deck every single night.
I would like to quickly talk about your Broadway debut, which was Rock of Ages. Um,
Yes.
what do you remember most about performing that show and what you learned from doing that one?
Um, Rock of Ages was so cool. I had just come off tour. I was coming off tour with Mary Poppins and landed in New York and immediately got Rock of Ages, which was so cool. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, I'm jumping right into another show. Um, I think a couple things stand out for me. The first thing is, I had been doing shows for so long at that time, but to be making the Broadway debut, I think the thing that really stands out for me was calling my parents and saying, I'm going to be on Broadway. It just feels like I think we have these dreams that we all have in the world. And when you can check one off your list and say, whoa, I just made my dream come true, that is crazy. That was such a cool moment to call my parents and say that. And then the second thing was, Rock of Ages was such a fun show to do. You want to talk about not traditional musicals? That is a not traditional musical. We had so much fun doing it. The audience was wild. I think it's one of the shows that really brought drinking to the theater. It's like, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's have a glass of wine, or, in Rock of Ages case, let's like do some shots and make you feel like you're a part of the show. Um, it was a blast, and that company was so fun, and it really set the foundation for me to become a much stronger singer, because you have to be singing rock and roll songs every day. So it really was a great foundation for me to keep growing as a performer.
Awesome. And I just have one more question, and it's out of all the shows that you've done this far, whether it was Broadway, regional, what would you say you learned the most? What one would you say you learned the most from? and the biggest outcome from doing one of them. If there's a particular one.
Gosh, that's a really hard question because I feel like um each show has taught me something completely different. I think it's a twofold. I think when I feel like I was a little baby when I started doing Wicked. I did not know that I was a singer. I knew I could sing, but I wasn't secure enough in myself to be like, oh yeah, I can sing roles and this and that. I thought I'm a dancer. And I used to, my track would run off stage and do a quick change and then come back on stage. And so I would always sing the Glinda part backstage, just vocalizing and warming up just for fun and to get my voice warm. And somebody heard me one day and was like, is that you singing? I said, yeah. They're like, whoa, I didn't realize you could sing like that. I was like, oh, I'm not really. I'm just having fun. And it showed me that I was so much more than that, which, was the progression into understudying Nessarose. I started to have more confidence in myself. And I think I'm having a similar sort of experience right now, however many years later, like, God, that's like 15 years later, I'm having a very similar experience where I'm being stretched and pulled in so many different directions, right? I'm covering tracks that are really balletic and really are challenging my dance technique, but I'm also covering roles that are big and juicy and full of dialogue, and it's really stretching me as a performer and an actress even all these years later. And I think every show has something to teach you if you're willing to open your eyes and dig in a little bit. Because I'm really digging in right now. Then, like I said, I'm riding the roller coaster of like, I don't know if I could do this. But I think those are the two, the show right now and Wicked for sure.
Awesome. Well, that was all the questions I had. If you
Oh,
wanted to say anything else,
well,
or
I hope that you keep doing this. I think it's important to keep spreading the love of Broadway.
thank you.
I'm such a musical theater nerd. I've, enjoyed shows since I'm a kid, and I think the excitement never goes away for me. I'm always like full circle with everything that I do on Broadway, and I hope everybody comes to see Bob Fosse's Dancin at the Music Box Theater. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, please follow me, Neka Zang. It's just my first and last name, and I'm always posting if I'm on. We always have discount codes, so if you see a price and you're like, check out. There's tons of discount codes, and come see the show.
Awesome.